What is up, guys? It is Brick Duo back again with another top 5 list, and today we're going to be looking at any of the LEGO Spongebob sets that came out. So let's go ahead and just start right into it. So, number 5 on the list, this is a set I don't own, but I would like to someday, and this is the Emergency Room. This set I think was a great deal when it came out. It retailed for only $30. Came with only 3 minifigures, but came with Patrick, which you've seen before. SpongeBob with the bandage on, which we hadn't seen before, and is a pretty cool figure. And my favorite figure of the set is the Bikini Bottom emergency room character fish. I think he just looks really cool, and if you've ever seen the episodes, it definitely reminds me of the actual episodes in which the emergency room is used in the actual show. But I think the set is great. This is one I'd like to pick up. Used it goes for about $50, and new it goes close to around $100. So in the grand scheme of things, with the other sets, I would say it's not the most expensive one, but it's still pretty expensive. I think the thing that really does this for me, as far as what the actual set has, is that it does a really good job of giving you an idea of what the emergency room looks like, in terms of the exterior. Like, you can see and you recognize that that's the front of the emergency room from SpongeBob, and it looks really good. And it does have some play features in the back, but I think the big thing for me on this one is that it sits on that 16 by 32 base plate. It has that parking spot off to the side where the boat can sit, and it just looks good on its own. And I can really see that just sitting on a shelf, and really just be a good display piece too. This set came out in 2008, and this is one that, like I said, I hope to be picking up soon, possibly in the future. Just a classic. Let's get on to number 4. And at number 4, we have Rocket Ride. And this is just like the emergency room. I believe this was the second wave in the 2008 line. So they came out a little bit later than the first sets that came out, but they did come in that same first year. And this is the same thing. I think for $30, this was just an absolute great value. This is one that I do have in my collection. So there may be some bias to that just based on nostalgic values. But I mean, just taking a look at the minifigures, they look great. Came with 3, all in their spacesuits. SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy. That was the first time we saw Sandy. Obviously, she released in a lot of other sets, but seeing Sandy, I think for the first time in this set with her actual suit on and actually having the helmet around her was really unique for the set at the time. And for $30, it was a pretty significantly sized rocket ship. Although it does have a lot of stickers, I think it does a good job. Just like we are talking about the emergency room, it does a good job, especially on the exterior, to really exemplify what the entire episode was about, and it can just sit on its own and still look good. Although it does have play features, but me personally, now I'm not super into the play features of a set. I just like the idea of it's a great looking rocket ship. You can fit all the figures inside, and it's a lot different than what we see now, where I believe a lot of the sets are undersized or underscaled, and it's almost hard to even fit all the minifigures. And this one has plenty of room and comes with some great features. And at number 3, we have an original set from, I'm sorry guys, the other 2 sets were later. There was 2008. These sets, I'm sorry, not the second wave. These released in 2006, and this was the first wave of SpongeBob sets. I didn't mean to say that they were in the same year, because they're not. So this is Adventures of Bikini Bottom. This is a set that I do personally own, and I think they just do a great job of including all 3 major houses. They have Patrick's Rocks, who even though it's just that big ugly rock piece, honestly, it's almost like what it's like in the actual show, right? Obviously, it's a little bit more round, but it gets the point across, has the TV in there. Then they have Squidward's house. It looks a little rough compared to some of the newer sets, but I personally like this set because, like I said, it comes with all 3 houses, and it doesn't have any dance theme, or it doesn't just have the pineapple. It has all 3. And the pineapple, I think this is the best pineapple of SpongeBob's house, of all 3 sets that came out that had the pineapple in it. And the minifigures are okay. The Squidward looks kind of rough. It was before they did the molded heads for Squidward, so that definitely looks a little bit rough. But this is a really cool set, in my opinion, just to be able to have them all laid out. And I remember when I was younger, this was sitting above our TV, just kind of laid out. And being a big fan of the show, this did a great job of showing what the Bikini Bottom line looks like with the three main characters. And for $40 when it released, absolute good deal, just like the other sets. So let's move on to number 2. And at number 2, we have the original Krusty Krab set from 2006. Now they did release another Krusty Krab set later on. I believe that was also a 2008 set. But this is the original one from 2006. They went ahead and put it on the 16 by 32 base plate. There's a pretty nice interior. It's got a great recycling bin on the side. The thing I like about this one better than the newer one is that this one actually has the Krusty Krab sign, the pearl, like they do in the actual show. Whereas the newer one, they just stick it on top of the actual Krusty Krab building, and that's not really accurate. I also like how there's actually a cash register, and if I remember correctly, there was even some play features behind the cash register for flipping patties and things like that. Came with 3 minifigures, Mr. Krabs, Squidward, and SpongeBob. Squidward and SpongeBob were also released in that Adventures of Bikini Bottom set, so not necessarily unique. But I remember having this set and thinking Mr. Krabs was really a cool minifigure to have with that molded head, which in 2006 just did not happen very often. But all in all, I think this is a great display piece, like I was talking about earlier. Being able to have it on that base plate and having still a good-looking interior with those windows on the outside to be able to see the inside is a really cool aspect of this set. It easily makes it number 2 on this list. And I believe it retailed for, $20. Just, you don't see that anymore. For a pretty good size set, as well with a base plate, this is a great addition to the collection. And at number 1, you guys probably aren't too surprised based on my likings, but we got Build-A-Bob, and this is just a giant buildable LEGO Spongebob, which just looks great. I had this set when growing up, and I still have it, and I actually still have it on display too. It's one of those sets that I just can never find myself taking apart. And the couple times I've built it back up and put it back on my shelf. It just looks so awesome standing there. In my opinion, especially for 2006, they did just about as good a job as they possibly could as far as designing what SpongeBob looks like. The only thing I'm a little bit iffy on is the arms, but in reality, when you just have the arms down, it looks okay. I know in this picture, he kind of has his arms being all floppy and things like that, but if you have his arms just down, it looks pretty normal. The socks look amazing. I love how they did the tie, and I also am a huge fan of the way they did the boots. It gives it a nice base, but also in the show, he also has really big black boots too. It also has an interior on the back, so you can put Plankton in to mind control SpongeBob like they do in the actual episode, and it shoots jellyfish out the mouth. And I mean, that was at a time where there wasn't stud shooters and all these things like that. So I remember it being a really fun feature, being able to just shoot jellyfish out of SpongeBob's mouth. And I think that the back of it actually looks pretty cool and reminds you of the episode. Another complaint about this would be the Plankton figure. It is just a sticker on a couple 2x2 sand green cylinders. The sticker does peel off. I know in my set the sticker's peeling pretty bad, and without the sticker you're not going to know it's Plankton. So I do have a little bit of issue with that, as well as back then they used to put the stickers on multiple bricks, so you can't really take all the pieces completely apart unless you're willing to take the stickers off. But really the big thing about this one for me is that this thing just looks like a great display piece, and for a retail price of $30, crazy good deal. And now it goes for new over $200. Used, you're going to be spending around $60. So a lot of these SpongeBob sets you've probably seen are a lot more expensive new than they are used. I think a lot of that has to do with people that are buying them are collectors, probably a little bit older, and are willing to spend higher prices for the new sets. And like I said, it's a set from 2006. The used sets will be pretty darn used. This thing looks great. So happy to have it on my shelf. And like I said, I've taken it apart a couple times, but it keeps going back up. And a set that's from 2006 that's still sitting on my shelf, where I take apart most of my LEGO sets, is a really good sign that this is a great set. So this is easily my number 1 LEGO SpongeBob set.